friends. Thank you for joining me on day 4 of Viking Ships at Sunrise on this cold, well, I don't know if it's cold out there, but I know it's wet and dreary Thursday. And we are on chapter 7, Fog Bound. At the rocks, the seagulls still screeched. Jack could barely see the steep path leading down into the fog. "Go slowly," Jack whispered to Annie as they started down. "Whoops!" said Annie. She slipped and fell forward, bumping into Jack. "My foot got caught on my stupid dress." "Shh," said Jack. He held on to Annie. They listened as pebbles and rocks rolled down the cliff. Jack took a deep breath. "We've got to watch out for Vikings too," he whispered. They started down the steep path again. They went one step at a time. The sound of the waves against the rocks grew louder. Finally, they stepped down onto the flat strip of pebbles. "Where are we?" whispered Annie. "I don't know," said Jack. "Oh, look," said Annie. She pointed to the shoreline. Through the fog rose the serpent prows of the Viking ships. Jack and Annie crept closer to the ships. Their sails were down. Each ship had been tied to a tall, jagged rock. They seemed deserted as they bobbed in the shallow waves. Jack really wanted to check out the ships, but he was afraid of wasting time. "We'd better find the treehouse," he said to Annie. They crept away from the three Viking ships. Suddenly, they both froze. Through the mist, they saw a group of Viking warriors. The Vikings were looking at the top of the cliff. Their long yellow hair hung down from beneath their helmets. They carried round wooden shields and swords and axes. "It looks like they're planning to climb the cliff," whispered Annie. "We need to hide until they go," whispered Jack. "Then we can look for the treehouse." "Let's hide in a ship," said Annie. "Good idea," said Jack. They crept back to where the ships were tied. Jack was happy to see that the sides of the smallest ship were very low. They could easily be able to climb over them. "You go first," said Annie. Jack waded through the shallow water. It was cold. He reached the ship and grabbed one side. He pushed himself up and onto the ship's deck. The ship jerked forward. Jack looked at the shore. It was now 30 feet away. The ship's anchoring rope was pulled tight. The serpent prow bobbed up and down with the waves. The fog and the movement of the ship made Jack feel as if it was in a dream. For a moment, he forgot to be scared of the Vikings. "This is so cool," he called. "Come on, Annie." Annie started to wade out to the ship. Suddenly, she disappeared. "Annie," called Jack. Her head popped out of the water. She splashed with her arm. It's deep," she gasped. "My dress is too heavy." "Use the rope," called Jack, like when they climbed the stairs. Annie grabbed the rope that stretched from the ship to shore. It held her weight as she began inching along it. "Hold on tight," cried Jack. I am," gasped Annie. She kept going, hand over hand, along the rope towards the ship. Can't get the page. When Annie got close to the ship, Jack reached out to help her. As he pulled her in, the side of the ship dipped down. Then the rope went slack, and the Viking ship slid out to sea. Oh no. Chapter 8, Lost at Sea. Annie fell to the deck of the ship. Jack pulled the rope out of the water. Then the end of it was still tied in a loop. "What happened?" asked Annie. "We're heading out to sea," said Jack. "I guess all the pulling lifted the rope off the rock." Annie sat up and looked at the misty whiteness. "I can't see the island," she said. "I can't see anything," said Jack. Annie looked at Jack. "Do you think this is our darkest hour?" she asked. "I don't know," said Jack. "Maybe the book will help." He pulled out the research book he found in the picture of the Viking ship. He read the caption aloud. Viking warships were the best ships of their time. When there was no wind, the crew would take down the sails and row with their oars. The smallest ship had 4 oars, and the largest had as many as 32. Rowers sat on boxes and stored their belongings. "Great," said Annie, jumping up. "This isn't our darkest hour." "Why do you say that?" asked Jack. "There's still hope," said Annie. We can row to the other side of the island and find the treehouse. Are you nuts? Said Jack. Please, Jack, said Annie. Can we just try? She grabbed one of the oars. She could barely lift it. Forget it, Annie, said Jack. It takes 4 big Viking guys to row this thing. We're too little. I'm too little. Come on, Jack, just try, said Annie. You get an oar, too. We'll sit on boxes across from each other. Oh, brother, said Jack. Annie dragged her long oar over to a storage box. I'm not doing this alone, she said. Jack groaned. Then he dragged an oar to the box across from Annie. Cool, said Annie. She peered into a storage box. Look, one for us. She lifted out look, one for each of us. She lifted out 2 small Viking helmets. Maybe these were made for Viking kids who sometimes ride in their ships, said Annie. Maybe, said Jack. He hadn't thought about the Vikings as real people before. People with families and little kids. Annie pulled off her scarf and put a helmet on her head. Now I feel like a Viking too, she said. I bet it will help me row. She handed Jack a helmet. He put it on. It made him feel a little different. I don't know about this, he said. The helmet wasn't as heavy as the one he had worn in the time of the castles, but it was still pretty heavy. Well, I'm braver with mine on, said Annie. Jack smiled. He didn't know how Annie could be braver than she already was. Ready to row? She asked. Yep, said Jack. He was feeling braver himself. The wind picked up as Jack lifted his heavy oar over the side of the ship. He lowered it to into the water, but the current was so strong that the oar was ripped out of his hands. Jack fell over backward as his oar slipped into the sea. I lost my oar, Annie yelled. Jack looked up as the rain started to fall. The sky was black. A gush of seawater poured over the side of the ship. Brrr, said Annie as she tried to stand. The black sky shook with thunder and flashed with lightning. Jack crawled to the side of the ship and pulled himself up. Another huge wave was coming right towards them. It's our darkest hour now, cried Annie. Let's get Brother Michael's book. Jack reached into his leather bag. He pulled out the jeweled book and held it up. Save us, story, he cried. He looked at the sea again. What he saw made him scream. Rising from the oncoming wave was a giant sea serpent. Oh no. But we will have to learn more about the sea monster tomorrow with chapter 9, which is the title of the chapter, Sea Monster. Eek. I have also a special announcement for tomorrow, so please tune in to our next chapter. And I hope you have a wonderful Thursday, even if it is a little rainy. Bye-bye.